These are the facts as I understand them. Britain is in its most monumental crisis perhaps ever. I refer to not just the Brexit crisis, though that may play a part, but also to a cultural and political crisis. Britain as a very idea is being wiped away before our very eyes. Britain is being Americanised at a worryingly fast rate. Already our words are being changed, can be observed with the use of lieutenant and aluminium being changed to lieutenant and aluminum, their American counterparts. This may seem a trivial matter to bring up, but it does represent a much wider problem. American ideals are being transferred to Britain through the medium of American media and big business. These ideals are simply incompatible with British society. Libertarianism, republicanism, and many more are steadily transforming us into the 51st state of the United States of America. Going further into republicanism, I have observed firsthand the steady increase in the sentiment amongst the youth with great worry and question. I have tried to figure out the cause of it for these past years, but only recently have I come to the conclusion. It is due to socialism, more specifically a special kind of socialism, one unique to Western society, one that can only exist within Western society, and one that is a direct cause of the Americanization of, well, everything. I don't know if the theory I'm about to propose has already been developed. It doesn't really matter. I've come to the conclusion that there must be two distinct kinds of socialism. I'm aware that yes, there are different ideologies, communism, anarchism, and the like. But in the baseline, summing up all socialist ideologies into one, that is socialism, there are two kinds of socialism. I refer to these as worker socialism and consumer socialism. Now, worker socialism is the kind you found throughout the 20th century. The kind that is based upon the job a man or woman does, wages and working conditions. It's about equality of class. Now, I disagree wholeheartedly with it, but I can at the very least respect the goal it is attempting. An example of worker socialism at play compared to consumer socialism can be when, way back when, the Labour Party protested us joining the European Union because extra competition and access to a much cheaper workforce would inevitably cause baseline wages to drop, which, sure enough, they did. So why does Labour now support remaining in the EU? The answer is pretty simple. The emergence of what I call consumer socialism. This is the socialism I have observed among the youth, and by the gods, it is the most selfish ideology I have ever bore witness to. Consumer socialism is all about products and purchasing. It cares not about the actual workers, but consumer socialists are the kind of people who say we shouldn't leave the EU because food prices will temporarily raise. Consumer socialists are the kind of people who say immigration is good because it means products remain cheaper. It's not focused on the idea of earning high wages to afford moderately expensive products, but more of affording cheap products with low wages. I believe it's partly a result of Americanization, but also partly a result of the big business plot to subvert society and control the masses by pretending to be socialistic in nature. Very smart, but very evil. But I'm sure you're all asking, how do we defeat consumer socialism? And the answer is quite simple. To destroy a selfish ideology, one must destroy the selfishness of society. Society in Britain, as well as the Greater West, is frankly killing itself due to its focus on the self. Egoism is rampant, but there is a time-tested cure to egoism, and that is militarism. Of course, there are many other methods, but militarism is one of the more preferable ones. With a strong pride in one's nation's military and the emphasis on the greatness of fighting for your people, nation, and monarch, the natural clan or tribe tendencies of the human kick in. Like a wolf pack, a brotherhood is formed, and the selfishness of society is steadily evicted. Naturally, no one likes war. I don't like war. War's awful. But this is perhaps necessary in order to ensure the maintenance of British society. This method can work without social authoritarianism, which is a system I am staunchly opposed to, though not to be confused with political authoritarianism. The idea of national unity has long been fraught with a surprising question amongst the right and third position. Is any man a citizen of the nation, or only those with significant racial heritage? That is to say, can a black man, or an Asian man, or a black woman, or an Asian woman also be an Englishman or Englishwoman? If your stance is no, I intend not to hurl Trotskyite terms at you, nor do I intend to totally ignore you, for no progress can be possibly attained with this tactic that the liberal elite seems so hell-bent on making use of. However, I propose a simple question to you. Is the air of England not so pure that any man or woman who breathes it from or near birth should become an Englishman or Englishwoman, his or herself? Naturally, one may renounce their Englishness by choosing to adopt foreign cultures, identity, or treasonous tendencies, yet without doing any of these things, is an Englishman not an Englishman regardless of race? Furthermore, on the grounds of religion, it would be rather hypocritical of me to propose religious intolerance, as my own faith has been suppressed since Christianity first arrived on this island. But regardless, so long as one's own religious ideals conforms to the English culture or identity with little struggle, surely there should be no quarrel on grounds of religious tolerance. I do not believe in having those of you who may disagree with me thrown into prison, as no man or woman should be scared of speaking their mind lest it's a direct threat to any personal group. However, I do plead with you to think over my argument. On the subject of equality, there seems to be a hot debate around the status of women. Some believe women are totally equal to men, which holds very true merits and allows for gender equality. However, these same people also have a tendency to go too far and suggest it should be okay to strike a woman. On the other side of the spectrum are the extreme traditionalists, who believe in total subservience of the woman to the man. This is a worryingly oppressive viewpoint. However, it also breeds a sort of corrupted chivalry in the idea that women are to be protected. In my opinion, women should absolutely, without doubt, be societally, politically, and economically equal to men. Women have more than proven their worth, especially during the World Wars, and it can be seen that females are totally capable of holding the rights we have given them. However, to suggest that women are also biologically on the same playing field as man is simply outrageous. To go further and suggest that if a woman should strike you, it is perfectly acceptable to strike them in return is outright revolting, as I have seen some men say. I have seen some men say that that should be okay. No, you do not seem strong. No, you aren't incredibly smart for using this logic. You are weak, you are pathetic. Frankly speaking, you are scum. If you are genuinely, noticeably, physically hurt by a female enough that you must strike them in return, you are no man, but you are a mouse. Some would call me sexist for this, but a man is simply biologically stronger than a woman, and to corrupt the idea of gender equality into an excuse to pick on the weak is the most revolting, disgusting, and putrid idea one could possibly hold. With all disgust in mind, it's time to come to a new consensus. The right and the third position is deeply divided. For argument's sake, I'm going to be referring to the extremes of both sides here. Libertarianism, the idea of a devolved government and true freedom, may be noble on paper, and I can genuinely get along with many libertarians. I've had many friends who are libertarians. However, it has one significant flaw that jumps out to me, and that is it is a self-destructive ideology. One argument for libertarianism even is you can make a commune in a libertarian society, but you cannot make a libertarian society in a communist society. And I get where they're coming from with this, but this to me does not prove any strength to me, but is a significant weakness. Libertarianism allows for less savoury ideologies to fester. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm all for societal freedom as much as anyone. Free speech is a vital part of our society, and the eternal debate ensures the culture machine remains at maximum capacity. Surveillance, I'm very anti-surveillance. However, political and economic authoritarianism are, in my eyes, superior to the alternative. With a united nation under strong leaders and control of the economy to a degree that every man benefits, a nation can truly shine. To cite the more extreme ends of this idea, Benito Mussolini's Italy and Francisco Franco's Spain were both in economic and political ruin at the time of their rise to power, both on the brink of total dissolution. However, within a decade, both nations had managed to totally overcome their hardships and were turned into the economic miracles and envies of Europe. Unfortunately, Mussolini, as we all know, became a Nazi puppet following the 1938 Pact of Steel, and Franco's successors were undone by the subsequent socialist government, but their achievements remain monumental. Economic and political authoritarianism can create a united, stable society where every man is a king. Only this way can we eject the Americanization influence, the Zionist lobby, and the big business attack on our very lives for the sake of greed. God save the Queen, and God save Britain.